Have you ever wondered if your cat actually understands any of the words you say to them, or if it's all just tone and background noise to them? The honest answer is more interesting than most owners expect. Cats aren't fluent in human language, obviously, but research into feline cognition has identified specific words and sounds that cats genuinely process and respond to, not just as noise, but as recognized, meaningful signals. Let's go through 5 of them, and the actual science behind why each one registers. 1. Their own name. This is the one most owners assume but rarely have confirmed. A study published in 2019 in the journal Scientific Reports tested whether domestic cats could distinguish their own name from other words, including similar-sounding ones. Researchers played recordings of an owner's voice saying several different nouns of similar length and rhythm to the cat's actual name, then finally the name itself, and measured the cat's response. The results showed that cats reliably responded more strongly, a head turn, an ear movement, sometimes a vocal response, specifically when they heard their own name compared to the other words, even when a stranger's voice was used instead of the owner's. This tells us something specific. Your cat isn't simply reacting to a familiar voice in general. They've learned to isolate one particular sound pattern, their name, out of an entire stream of speech, and recognize it as something distinct. Whether they understand it as an identity in the way we'd think of a name is a separate question, but the sound itself is genuinely categorized and recognized, not just background noise. 2. No. Cats don't understand no as an abstract moral concept the way a person might. But there's real evidence they associate a sharply spoken no, especially paired with a consistent tone and follow-up action, with an interruption they should pay attention to. This comes down largely to prosody, the rhythm, pitch, and sharpness of how something is said, rather than the word itself carrying inherent meaning to a cat. A short, firm, lower-pitched no delivered consistently, especially when it's reliably followed by the same consequence, you standing up, removing them from the counter, blocking access to something, teaches a cat to associate that specific sound pattern with an outcome worth reacting to. Over repeated, consistent use, cats can learn to pause or hesitate specifically upon hearing it, not because they understand the semantic meaning of the word, but because the sound has become a reliable predictor of what happens next. Consistency matters enormously here. A no said in 10 different tones for 10 different reasons teaches your cat far less than the same sharp, consistent sound used the same way every time. 3. Their food-related cue words. Whatever specific word or phrase you consistently use before feeding your cat, dinner, food, treat, even a made-up phrase you didn't intend to teach them, tends to become one of the most reliably recognized sounds in a cat's vocabulary, and the underlying mechanism is well understood. This is straightforward associative learning, the same basic mechanism behind Pavlov's famous work with dogs, applied naturally in cats through repetition. If a specific word reliably precedes food, often enough, over enough repetitions, the word itself starts triggering an anticipatory response, increased alertness, vocalizing, heading toward the feeding area, even before the food actually appears. This is part of why cats often react instantly and specifically to a particular word said in a particular context, opening a treat bag, saying a specific phrase near feeding time, even when the same word said in an unrelated context gets no reaction at all. It's not that your cat understands the word as language, it's that the word has become a highly reliable predictor of something they care about a great deal. 4. Come, when paired consistently with a reward. Cats can absolutely be trained to respond to a recall cue like come, though the mechanism looks a little different from how dogs typically learn it. This isn't about a cat inherently understanding the concept of the word. It's about consistent positive reinforcement building a strong, specific association over time. Cats trained using consistent reward-based methods, the same specific sound or word, reliably followed by something positive, a treat, play, affection, can learn to respond to that cue with real reliability. Feline behaviorists have noted that unlike punishment-based training, which tends to backfire badly with cats and often increases avoidance rather than compliance, reward-paired recall words show measurably higher success rates. This is part of why some cats will reliably come running to a specific word or even a specific sound, like a treat bag crinkling, while showing no particular reaction to a stern or negative-toned request. The word itself matters far less than the consistency of what has reliably followed it in the past. If any of this is changing how you think about what your cat actually understands when you talk to them, tap that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps us reach more cat owners who want to understand the real science behind these everyday moments. 5. Their favorite person's specific greeting phrase. This one is a little more personal and a little less universal than the others, but it shows up consistently enough across individual cats and owners to be worth including. Many cats develop a strong recognition for one specific, repeated greeting phrase used consistently by their primary person, whether that's a simple, "Hey buddy," a specific nickname, or some entirely made-up phrase unique to that household. This connects back to the same voice recognition research covering how cats identify their owner's voice specifically. A 2013 study published in the journal Animal Cognition found that cats could reliably distinguish their owner's voice from a stranger's even when both were saying the exact same words in a similar tone. When that same distinct voice pairs with a specific, repeated phrase over months or years, cats often develop a recognizable response, perking up, approaching, vocalizing back, specifically to that combination of familiar voice plus familiar phrase, in a way they don't replicate for anyone else using the same words. It's less about the words themselves carrying meaning and more about an entire recognized package, voice, tone, and specific phrase together, becoming one highly specific, reliably identified signal. Across all 5 of these, the underlying pattern holds steady. Your cat isn't processing language the way a person does, building grammar or abstract meaning from words. What they are doing is something genuinely impressive in its own right, picking specific sound patterns out of a constant stream of speech, and reliably associating each one with something real, an identity, a consequence, a reward, a specific trusted person. That's not nothing. That's your cat quietly building an entire working vocabulary around you, one consistent, repeated sound pattern at a time.